Okay, so here's what's happening on July 11th. The map has not really moved a lot. There's a little bit of defensive line shifting, as you can see here, but there's not really that much movement. But there is something interesting about the map. If you move around, you can see that there are these places where there's lots of missile strikes or shelling or something deep into it. And if you look at the distance, 70 kilometers, these are HIMARS. So HIMARS are working. That's what's going on militarily. Most of the news of the day is also, well, the Ukrainians are being shelled as well. So what we know on day 138, this is the Guardian. They do a good job collating things. At least 18 people are dead after a missile attack on eastern Ukrainian town. What they did was they just shelled an apartment building. I mean, or actually a couple apartment buildings, and just destroyed residential buildings. Now, this is against all the rules of war. It's a tragedy. It should never have happened. And it's another way of Russia saying, well, we're just going to do what we want, try to stop us. This is in Chavis Yar, and this was 2 days ago. Chavis Yar is here on the map. It's behind any front line. Like they've been fighting here, and they're expecting it in Sloviansk and Bakhmut, but not in the small little village of Chavis Yar. Okay. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has asked military chiefs to draw plans to gather a million-strong fighting force equipped with Western weapons to recapture the southern territory from Russia. Now, I don't understand exactly why he's approaching the southern territory. So what this means, let me kill that and let me zone out a little bit. So what this means is instead of fighting in this front here where everything is, they're going to start attacking down here. The southern territory here is Kherson and Zaporizhia, and this Donbass area is what Russia has always been talking about. This is this is Luhansk, and this is Donetsk, and this is Kharkiv, right? And this is the most highly contested territory, but they're looking like they're going to be attacking here and then sweeping through. I don't know if they're going to just try to draw forces away from here, or whether they're actually gutsy enough to try to go into Crimea, which would give the Russians fits, because the Russians think that Crimea is their Russia. It was given away in 1954 to Ukraine, but that's when the Soviet Union was the Soviet Union, and Russia seized it back in 2014. Over in the east, Serhiy Haidai, the governor of Luhansk, said a small part of Luhansk is still holding on and fierce battles are raging. So there's still some fighting, and there probably will be, just like there's going to be um, some insurgency in other places as well, and there has been. Russia has claimed in the last 24 hours to have killed over 500 Ukrainian troops and destroyed large amounts of foreign supplied weaponry and ammunition. Now, so I've seen this in other places. Let's go over here. See if, yeah, okay. So this is RT. RT is Russian television. Stocks of Western supplied missiles destroyed in Ukraine. Russian warships have destroyed stocks of U.S. supplied ammunition by striking arms depots in Ukraine's central province. And it goes on. Last week, Russian defense minister claimed it had wiped out 2 HIMARS launchers and 2 ammunition depots. The Ukrainian military dismissed the report as fake, insisting that the U.S. made launchers were inflicting colossal damage. But they give the impression like, oh, they claim that there's no proof that they've actually destroyed any HIMARS. The U.S. government says, nope, you haven't. The Ukrainian government says you haven't. And Russia tends to lie. So here's another one. This is Pravda RU. Pravda means truth in Russian, by the way, which is ironic. The Russian long-range sea missiles caliber have eliminated storage facilities in Ukraine, and they go on and they list all the kinds of things, M77s and S-27 Pion self-propelled guns, and all the things that they've claimed to have destroyed. So that's what's going on there. Okay, so the next story is, this goes back a couple of days. Canada, this was July 10th, so the day before Canada said it's going to return the Nord Stream 1 turbine. And this was an issue because it was a turbine for their pipeline that now fell under sanctions. And Canada decided to, they really wrestled with this for a while, but they decided ultimately, we're going to return this, and that's going to allow natural gas to flow to Germany. Germany can stock up on all the gas that it needs to before the winter so that then they can be energy independent from Russia as much as possible. But it really, it's like, are you buying Russia stuff or aren't you? And they are. Russia last month cited the delay in the return of the turbine, which has been servicing in Canada, as the reason behind its reduction of flows by 40%. Remember, there's a military war and there's an economic war going on simultaneously. The Canadian government ultimately decided that they're going to return it. The Kremlin said that it would increase gas supplies if the turbine was returned. So, I mean, it's almost like a little hostage situation. Germany was very happy with the decision, and even the U.S. chimed in and was sided with the Canadians on that. Critics of the decision, including the Ukrainian Congress, they weren't happy about that. In fact, Zelensky talks about this in his speech, and here's his July 11th speech. Firstly, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had to summon Canada's representative to our country due to an absolutely unacceptable exception to the sanctions regime against Russia. Right? So, like, guys, what are you doing? You're supposed to be our close ally. There's so many Ukrainian expats in Canada. You were right there with us. What happened? But even the U.S. was backing Canada in this, suggesting that this was the U.S. State Department defended the decision. The United States backs reducing collective dependence on Russian energy, but it would allow Germany and other European countries to replenish their gas reserves, increasing their energy security and countering Russians' efforts to weaponize energy. But in the meantime, they're weaponizing energy. So, and they're using those profits to weaponize weapons, like to actually pay for their military. So it's a bad deal all the way around. Okay, the next article also goes back a little bit. It's talking about what's going on in Kaliningrad. And Kaliningrad is that little piece of Russia that's sandwiched between Lithuania, the Baltic, and Poland. And it's a function of being part of the spoils of World War II, and Lithuania cut off Kaliningrad from sanctions. Or sorry, we can't transport your stuff through our country anymore, and it's become a big thing. So on May 16th, former deputy head of the Polish Ministry of Defense, Roman Shemenyev, announced that the need to demilitarize and rename Russia's Kaliningrad. Like, so again, this is Pravda saying, see, the Poles are going to attack. And he called Russia's enclave a powder keg. Now, a powder keg between NATO's legs. So there's that's what some Polish official had said, and they're going to use that to say, oh, we got to do something about this. And this whole article is just saying, look, we have all these weapons, and they just list all the weapons that are the Baltic Fleet. About 500,000 people are headquartered there, and this missile and that, the Barbarossa 2 plan, this missile and that missile, the Kazal hypersonic missile, the Bunyan and ballistic missile ships, caliber cruise missiles, and they go on, and like it's like they're trying to bluster too much. Now, I've met a lot of people that really had a lot of fight in them. Like, they were really tough people, black belts, like, right? And they don't walk around going, you know what? I'm a black belt, yo. Okay, you want to mess with me? They don't do that. They're just calm and confident. They don't do that, and it's telling when they're blustering like this. Okay, let's move along. And Russia offers faster, and this is the one I wanted to really focus on. Russia focuses on fast-track citizenship to all Ukrainians. Now, they had done this before. They started issuing passports to the Luhansk and Donetsk People's Republics, which are these areas that they had recognized as independent states. But then they also spread it down into Zaporizhia and Kherson, and now they're spreading it, it looks like, even beyond that. So according to a decree signed by President Putin on Monday, Ukrainians may now file the relevant request without the need to live in Russia for 5 years, to have a source of income, or to pass a Russian language test. So if you are Ukrainian, you can get a Russian passport, which is, I mean, that's really like, whoa. I mean, they're just like trying to lure away Ukrainian citizens, and now it's an open question as to how much of this is actually like compelling them to take Russian passports, and in some places they're actually compelling them to take a Russian passport in order to take a job. Okay, back in 2019, a simplified procedure was introduced for those living in the Donbass. We just talked about that. As of February, 950,000 people have reportedly filed applications, and 770,000 of them have become Russian citizens. Again, I don't know. It's an open question. How many of those people are actually like compelled to do that because of like if you want to have a job, you have to do that. In May, another decree added to the residents of Zaporizhia and Kherson regions in the south of Ukraine to those eligible for the citizenship scheme. And that's where I was talking about the you're being compelled to do that. I've seen articles about that. Let me go on to another article. This is Pravda carrying the same article. According to decree of citizens of Ukraine, Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic, as well as stateless persons permanently residing in the republics of Ukraine. That's any Ukrainian can have the right to apply for Russian citizenship under a simplified procedure. And that was a very simple article, but this has been going on for some time. This is my book, I Need Ammunition, Not a Ride. It's on Kindle. I update it weekly. That's one of the reasons that I do these, because I'm updating what's going on in the book. In the book, I was talking about like, this isn't Zelensky's first rodeo on this. I said only days after he was elected, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced, after Zelensky was elected, because I was talking about Zelensky above in this. President Vladimir Putin announced that he would provide Russian passports to Ukrainian citizens who lived in the Donbass. This was Zelensky's first major foreign policy challenge. Offering these passports was Putin's way of inflaming the situation and testing Zelensky. According to one news account, Zelensky ridiculed the offer, responding with a Facebook post that extended Ukrainian citizenship to Russians and others who, quote, suffer from authoritarian or corrupt regimes, which is, that's epic. And that's just awesome stuff. So it showed he had a sense of humor and was dealing with it. But this situation right now isn't funny. Okay, so here's AP's coverage. Putin expands fast track citizenship to all Ukraine. Again, so you saw RT, you saw Pravda, and you're seeing AP. I'm trying to triangulate to see what is actually going on. And it's saying essentially the same stuff, that it's an expanded program. The Ukrainian foreign minister clearly is not having this. Russia is using the simplified procedure for issuing passports to tighten the noose around the necks of residents of the temporarily occupied territories of our states, forcing them to participate in the criminal activity. Yeah, that's right. You have to, in order to survive, take a Russian passport, and that's really a big sticking point of what's going on here. Okay, in the next article, Russian tanks are in Prague, and they're not rolling into Prague. The Ukrainian government has brought them there as a display, which I think is a brilliant move on the part of Ukraine. So destroyed armor from the battlefield is being exhibited in Czech Republic, just like it was in Warsaw. And so we're seeing, people are actually getting to get a sense of what's going on, what's actually happening. The exhibit of 6 Russian military vehicles damaged during the Ukraine will officially be opened. And so you're just seeing like this is what it's really like. I mean, I think this is a brilliant advertising campaign for Ukraine. I think it's awesome. Ilya Kulchinsky, a Ukrainian volunteer, told Radio Free Europe that the exhibition was intended to, quote, remind people that the war is not as far away as they think. Because if we will not stand, the Czech Republic is the one next, and be sure Russia will not stop. So yeah, so it's an open question. Hitler said that he would have stopped if he'd been checked the Sudetenland, he would have stopped, which is really amazing to think just how many more people suffered just because he wasn't stopped. Okay, so I think this is just it's a brilliant campaign, and it's going to move on to Berlin, Lisbon, Madrid, Paris, and they really need to do this because attention to the war has been struggling. By the way, if you're really interested in following what's going on, there is a great Facebook group called Stand with Ukraine. I'm a member. I just joined recently. I've seen some others, and some others give some news. They have a really good mix of actual news reports, some funny memes, some video. That's me talking here. It's really good. They do a great job of collating some of the more important things about like what's going on. Yeah, and so you just get a really good sense of everything, of what it's like on the ground, and you get to hear from people who are also supporting uh, Ukraine as well. So you get to see firsthand what's actually happened, the enormity of it. So it's not just theoretical. I would highly recommend that this website, again, it is called Stand With Ukraine. And if you're at all interested in following this, please check that out. Okay, that's all that I have for you for today. Thank you for your time, and we'll be back again tomorrow.